This evening, I will be speaking from the Leadership Excellence series, and it is resolving conflicts. I am going to try to share my screen. Okay, great. So we know that as humans, we most times have conflict, sometimes within ourselves or with others. And we have to learn to work it out, not just leave it alone, but work out the conflict to ensure that at the end, we are all in a better place. Conflict is part of life, and people will always have different views, difference of opinions. We can see the same thing and interpret it differently. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Okay, that's good. And sometimes we shy away from conflict, but conflict is not always bad. Conflict sometimes helps us to see things from a different point of view, and we make better decisions as a result. And sometimes it even gets us to bond together because I might see something one way, you see it the other way. And when we come to discuss, we realize, hey, we could look at it either way, whether the way I look at it or you look at it, but just that we have to understand each other. And the definition of conflict is what you get when two or more people have differences, real or perceived, that are not resolved. So that's the conflict. We have something we see differently. It could be just in our mind, or it could be something real. But then when it is not resolved, there goes our conflict. And this is where we need to really bring our core values of Toastmasters into it, where we respect each other because everyone can have a different opinion. And conflict resolution is what we do to identify and address conflict in a mature and a respectful way. So that's how we can have conflict, but then it is how we resolve our conflict. That is very important. Sometimes we hear people screaming at each other, no one is listening, and at the end of it, the conflict is not resolved. But when we do that in a respectful way, and as Toastmasters, we need to respect each other. That's part of our core values, and we need to do it with integrity, not on the surface, just, oh, we respect you, and we really don't, but we have to do it in a respectful way. And there are different types of conflict. Sometimes it's people who has contentious personalities. For whatever reason, that person is always upset, that person is always getting irritated, and here conflict comes even before you realize someone is flying off the handle. And then there are some people with those contentious personalities. Maybe you have met one. Before you start speaking with them, they know what you're going to say to them. They are like they know it all. They know everything. However, when you expect them to do what you expect, they come back to you. Either it is not done correctly or they are asking you, what is it you were saying? Just because they did not listen, they thought they know it all. Or there are some people, they argue for everything. So they are very argumentative. Sorry for not putting it up. They are very argumentative and everything is an argument. They are not listening. Most time the conflict occurs when people are not listening. Some people are egomaniacs, narcissists. They are always right. They are always better than somebody else. They have that big ego. And there comes conflict with that big ego. On the other hand, there are some people who constantly put down themselves. They can do whatever you ask them, but the first thing they'll say, oh, I'm not suitable to do it. I'm not qualified to do it. I cannot do it. and they are part of your team and you expect them to pull their weight. All these things cause conflict, and it is said to be these people are contentious. There's misunderstanding, lack of understanding. I once read a quote where it said that the problem with communication is that we think it has happened. So we tell somebody something, we do not explain what we want, and we believe that person understands. And right there, there's a misunderstanding because of miscommunication. It's the perception that the person has understood what we are saying. And this too can cause conflict. And then there's general issues. Probably the person objective is not what the team objective is. There's a conflict. The person prefer one way to doing it another way. There's a conflict. There are situations where you might call a meeting, everybody agrees to what has to be done, but someone has that odd idea in their head that that's not how they're going to do it. When you meet again, you expect certain things to be done, and that person hasn't done it. That's a conflict. In working relationships, you will find conflicts. But these things, as I said, if we respect each other and we have our integrity, then this can be solved easily. Yes, and then it has that atmosphere where no one is relaxed. Everyone feels they're walking on tiptoe, and you can easily get into that problem. And another type of conflict might be the different types of leadership. Everyone has their own type of leadership. And if you are not ready and willing to work within a team, then conflict will arise. Because there are the people who have that authoritarian rule. What I say goes. Another one might prefer a democratic style of leadership. And there goes a problem. Oh, we are going to meet at 6 on a Tuesday. No one, that leader has not asked anyone whether they will be able to. They just demand it and put that through, conflict will come. Now there's the passive leader where everything goes. Anybody who does what is correct. And this cannot work because we have to all come together to agree on one way to do that. Everybody cannot go their own way. If we do not go nowhere we are going, any road will get us there, and any road can lead us like the children of Israel, 40 years in the wilderness trying to find our way. Whereas if we were to come together, decide what we want to do instead of someone just telling that to us, or that leader just doesn't care what happens, so we can go whichever way like a ship on the ocean. This causes conflict. I have not seen the timer, but conflicts can be resolved, and there are methods of resolving conflicts. Ignoring it. Do you think that's a correct way to ignore that conflict? Someone can just open their mic and answer. Okay, it's inside.
Are you asking for responses?
I was asking whether ignoring the conflict is a correct way.
Well, I'd like to take that one. I don't think it's a good solution. It doesn't take care of the problem. The problem is still there, so hasn't been addressed. Yes.
If it is a simple thing, we can ignore it. But if it is important, we have to ensure that we work on it, because leaving the conflict unresolved just festers a bigger problem at the end of the situation. Or some leaders will just smooth it over. Again, when it comes to issues that are not so important, you just try to placate everyone. But if it is an important issue, you cannot just smooth it over. You have to deal with it at the moment. Ensure that the method you deal with it creates harmony and goodwill. Someone does another team member something negative, we cannot just smooth it over. because the person is hurting. So we have to come together and ensure that goodwill prevails and we are in harmony. Neither can we force. Someone is doing somebody, you cannot expect them to, you have hurt my feeling, you have done me something wrong, and the leader just wants me to accept. That is how you operate, and that's how we will be. No, it is just like ignoring or smoothing it over. We have to try to deal with the situation and make quick decisions, quick and correct decisions. We cannot force somebody to accept something that's done wrong to them. And in conflict, there are no winners and losers. We all have to be on the same page as a group. Compromise. Each party makes a major concession to arrive at a solution. Since both parties lose something, they may have less support for the compromise solution. So I am losing, you are losing, and our leader is telling us, well, just accept our loss. But sometimes I might find it is unfair, and you too find it is unfair. So that is a method of resolving conflict, but I do not think it is the proper method. And collaboration. Collaboration is a better way to resolve your conflict. Each side will recognize that the other needs are legitimate. I have a legitimate need. You have a legitimate need. Our needs are important. And we acknowledge that there's the ability and expertise to work within it. So we work together to arrive at an agreement that will resolve the conflict. When each party wins, so we do not want one party to win, one party to lose. We want both parties to win so that there is proper resolution to the conflict. And then there will not be resentment or distrust between the parties. Because I know I have won, you have won, and it is the better outcome for the team. To facilitate collaboration, we must first find the root cause of the problem. Thank you. I see the red now, so I'll be wrapping up shortly. We must first find the root cause of the problem. Sometimes the symptoms can mask as the root problem, but we go deep and find the root cause of the problem. In doing that, we allow all parties to speak. All parties must speak and say, what is the problem? Why is there conflict? There should be open communication, not the leader speaking to one party and then going to speak to the other party. Everyone should be speaking together. So we have to find the root cause of the problem, allow all parties to speak. And a word of caution, while we are trying to resolve the problem, we should not let emotion consume us. So the parties should not let their emotion run wild and just start shouting at each other. No, this is just a word of caution. We have to be respectful, empathetic, and caring. And this truly helps us to resolve our conflict. Don't blame each other. Use more I. This is how I see it. This is how I would like it. This is how I. So you are not accusing and pointing fingers. And encourage all parties to listen. Listening is very important. Identify areas of agreement, disagreement, and agreement. Search for solutions, and then reach a consensus so that all parties win, as I said earlier. What you could do is write down all ideas as they are generated. This is in the brainstorming method. Evaluate positive and negative. Narrow the list of ideas to best solve the problem. When we are leaders, we must resolve our conflict. So as I said, conflict is there. It has been there for eternal. But then when we come into situations where conflict arise, we must seek to resolve it. Thank you.